Hey guys, my name is Shreyas and welcome to Simple Biology. In this video, we're going to be talking about the cell. So this is kind of our intro video to the cell. In this video, I'm going to be kind of going over all the parts of a cell. As you can see here, I have a cell. So I'm just basically going to be talking about the organelles within a cell and where they're found. And then in later videos, we're going to actually dive into each individual organelle and talk more about it. But for this video, it's kind of just like an overview of where all the major organelles are within a cell. So first things first, this cell right here is an animal cell. Okay, let me write that down. Animal cell. Now it's important to note that this is an animal cell and it's different from a plant cell, which has, I'm going to be talking about those differences in a minute, but just know that everything I'm talking about here is for animal cells, okay? So let's write that term down again. Organelle. What the heck is an organelle? So an organelle is let me write this down. Organelle. So the organelle, what's an organelle? So in the human body, we have all sorts of organs, like we have the heart, we have the brain, we have the stomach, and all these organs work together. Oh my god, that's stomach, sorry, excuse me. We have the stomach, and all these organs work together in order to help the body function, right? They all work together to help the body work. They all work together. You know, the brain gives instructions to the stomach, things like that. They all work together, and the body is the body, right? In the same sense, organelles work together to help the cell function. They all work together. They're little parts within the cell. Like as you can see here, we have, you know, this big purple organelle, and then we have all these tiny things just stuffed into the cell, which I'm going to be talking about in just a minute. But all these organelles work together to help the cell function. Okay, so if you don't know what an organelle is, that's important to know. Okay, so let me go ahead and erase this because I'm going to need the room. So basically what I'm going to be doing here is I'm just going to go ahead and point out all the organelles, and then in later videos we're going to be specifically talking about their functions. So first is the nucleus. I think that's the most important part of a cell. So this is the nucleus. Let me highlight that for you. Okay, you can see it's the, in middle school we typically say it's the brain of the cell, which is kind of correct. Okay, so that is the nucleus. Okay, and then we have the smooth ER. So the smooth ER is right here. Okay, so that is the smooth ER. And that's kind of like the packaging center for a cell, you know, and there's more to it than that, and we're going to be talking about that. Then there's the rough ER over here. Let me use a different color, actually. The rough ER is over here. And the difference between a rough ER and smooth ER is the fact that rough ER have something special called ribosomes. Now, I'm not going to expect you to know that in this video, but it's if you're wondering what's the difference between smooth ER and rough ER, that's that. So here we have the rough ER. And by the way, I should mention this. ER stands for endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum. Okay. Okay, so we have the smooth ER. Oh my gosh, excuse me. We have the smooth ER, and then we have the rough ER. Okay, now what else do we have? We have a lysosome, which is right here. Let me get a different color going. We have a lysosome here. Lysosome. The lysosome is the organelle which, you know, basically takes all the trash and it just digests it for the cell, to reuse. We're going to be getting into that, okay, in later videos. Then here we also have a peroxisome right here. Peroxisome is very similar to a lysosome, but there are differences, and we will learn about that. Okay, and then we also have the centrosome over here. The centrosome right here. All this big mess over there, that is the centrosome. The centrosome. And this is probably something new, but we will learn more about that as the video, as this unit goes along. There will be actually a video on centrosomes in the cytoskeleton video, so you might want to check that out later if you don't have any idea what a centrosome is. So all this mess over here, it might be kind of hard to see let me try to highlight that for you. All the mess over here. There's it's kind of fine. Everything here. There's like these little dashed lines. It might be hard to notice, but that's okay. All these that mess over there. It's just like these little lines. It might be hard to see on your computer, but I apologize. But that is all part of the cytoskeleton. Now, the cytoskeleton is also another new term which you might not know. Talking about what is centrosome here, I don't want to get into that, but I can give you a brief definition of what the cytoskeleton is. Just like how a human body has its own skeleton, in the same sense, in cells also have this interesting skeleton which helps keep the shape of the cell together, and we will be getting into that. So, but for now, just know that there is something called the cytoskeleton. The cytoskeleton has many parts to it, but for now, just know that that's the cytoskeleton. Okay. Now let me see. Here we have the a flagellum here. This long gray thing. This long gray thing here, which seems to be just kind of cutting out of the cell here. This is the flagellum. Flagellum. When we talk about more than one flagellum, it's called flagella. I will write that down for you too. Flagella. And this flagella or flagellum, it helps the cell move. It kind of just moves back and forth. It helps the cell move, and we will also be talking about that. But just know that this, if you ever see this extension on a cell, this long, gray thing which is kind of just coming out of the cell, that's the flagellum. Okay. Then we also have mitochondria. This might be something which you already know and you've heard of, right here, because we talk about this a lot in pre-P biology as well as in middle school. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It makes all the energy for the cell. Okay, we also have another mitochondria here, and then another mitochondria here. Okay, and then we also have the cell membrane. Now, it's right here. Let me go ahead and highlight that for you using a different color. Let's use this. Actually, I've already used that color here. Okay, so here we have the cell membrane, kind of surrounding the cell. Out here. I think you can notice this, the cell membrane. It's all this orange stuff over here, like everything that's surrounding the cell. And that is the cell membrane. We also call it the plasma membrane. Sometimes in textbooks you might see this. Plasma membrane, same thing as a cell membrane, okay? It kind of holds everything in the cell together. Okay, and then the final thing that I want to point out is here we have something called microvilli. Microvilli over here. Microvilli, which helps increase the surface area for a cell, and we're going to be getting into that in just a second, but know that these little extensions of the cell that you can see here are microvilli. Okay, now we've gone through a plant cell. Now I'm an animal cell. Let's go to a plant cell now. Okay, so this is a plant cell. Okay, so here, let's see. There's a lot of things which are similar between an animal cell and a plant cell. Let me point them out. We have the nucleus over here. We have the Golgi apparatus. Actually, wait, did I talk about that here? No, I did not. I did not point that out. This mess right here, this green mess right here, is the Golgi apparatus, and that also plays a role in packing and shipping. Sorry, I did not mention that. Okay, so back here we have the Golgi apparatus right here. It's very similar things to cell. We have a mitochondria right here. We have parts of the cytoskeleton over here. We have the smooth ER right here. We have the rough ER right here. We have a peroxisome right here. Let me see. So that's all the things that are similar within plant cell and animal cell. But then also there are differences. Okay, we have a chloroplast. This is something which only plant cells have. A chloroplast right here. This also is a chloroplast here. This also here is a chloroplast. Plant cells don't have them. Remember that chloroplasts take energy from the sun and convert it into energy that this plant cell can use. Plant cells, animal cells, sorry, unfortunately do not have that ability to take energy from light and then turn it into usable energy for the cell, but plant cells do. And there's going to be a very extensive part in AP biology where we talk about everything which happens in the chloroplast. So, and it's actually called photosynthesis. I can write that down for you if you're interested. Photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is just this very extensive process of how the chloroplast takes energy from the sun and turns it into usable energy. And we're going to be getting into that later in this unit, but that's good to know. So we have the chloroplast. It's only found in plant cells. Okay. We also have this extension of the plant cell. This kind of this this box looking thing. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can go ahead and outline this for you. You can see here we have this kind of this extension. Okay, we have the cell membrane, but we also have this kind of like this box looking thing, which is surrounding the plant cell, right? And we already talked about this probably in pre-AP biology, but if you don't know what it is, that's okay. This is actually the cell wall. The cell wall. Let me write that down for you. The cell wall. Cell wall. Remember, only plant cells have cell walls. Animal cells do not have cell walls. Okay, so it's another difference. Only plant cells have chloroplasts. Only plant cells have cell walls. And then here's another thing. Only plant cells have something called plasmodesmata. Okay, this might be a term which you've never heard before. Plasmodesmata. So this is something kind of new, which you will learn about in AP Bio, but that's good to know. Plasmodesmata, just as a brief definition, plasmodesmata are kind of these holes which are found in cell walls, in plant cells, which help transfer a material from one cell to the other. So you can think of it like if we had another plant cell connected to this, these holes will help allow for material to pass through. And we're going to be talking about that later in this course, but just know that plasmodesmata. And then finally we have a central vacuole over here. The central vacuole. Central vacuole. Okay, now in animal cells we also have vacuoles, but they're kind of small. I don't even think it's drawn into this whole diagram here. Vacuoles are kind of just like storage areas, but in plant cells we have something which is the central vacuole, which is a very big vacuole, and the central vacuole helps the plant cell maintain its shape. Okay, and we're going to be getting into that. So know that the plant cell has this big vacuole called a central vacuole, while animal cells only have tiny vacuoles, which are not that very not as significant as this huge vacuole right here. Okay, now the final thing that I want to talk about is cell size. Okay, so cell nutrition. This is a very important term. Cell nutrition depends on membrane area. Okay, so what is cell nutrition? Imagine we have a cell. Let me go ahead and just draw a cell. Okay, now the cell, let's just say it has just this distance, right? So the cell has this area, this surface area, okay? Just like if you have a cube, the cube is going to have a surface area. We learned about this in math, okay? Now, the bigger the surface area, or also called the membrane area here, but I just want to refer to it as surface area. Same thing. So, let me write that down. Surface area, same thing. So the membrane area or the surface area is basically the amount of area around the cell. So cell nutrition depends on the surface area. If there's more surface area, then that allows for the for nutrition to come into the cell. Okay, because the cell needs food in order to function, right? So if there's more area for the cell to have, then it's going to have. If there's more area, that's good. You want to have an extensive surface area in order for the cell to be able to function. Okay. However, cell nutrition is also determined by the volume of the cell. Okay, this is also important. It's determined by the volume. That's all. That factor has to be taken in. So by math, you know that if you can have, but if you want to increase the surface area, you can just increase the size, right? So we have a small box here, and then we also have a large box, right? I'm gonna use this term in terms of cubes. So here we have a greater surface area. We have a small surface area. A small surface area, and then we have a small volume. Here we have a large surface area, larger than this box, but then we also have a larger volume. Okay, so in terms of cells want to find this balance. Okay, you can think of it like this. Cells want a large surface area. Let me write this in a different color. They want a large surface area, but then they also want a small volume. Okay, because if cells are too big, then then there's going to be other issues. Imagine your cells were like in your body were like a centimeter big, then it wouldn't be, your body will not be able to function because the cells are just too big. You want to keep it small. So cells are trying to find this balance between having a large surface area and a small volume. So that ratio is where we start to get cells. The proper surface area to volume ratio is necessary in order for a cell to function. Okay, and that's a very important thing to know in biology. You will see all sorts of questions about this, where you'll get all sorts of scenarios where there'll be like, okay, so we're trying to make a cell, and we want to get the ideal cell. So what do you want? So remember that you also want, for an ideal cell, we want a large surface area so you can get nutrients for nutrition purposes. Okay, because if you have a large surface area, there's more area for nutrients to come in, but then you want to have a small volume, because if the cell gets too big, then it's going to have other issues in terms of mobility and things like that. Okay, so the ratio, this you can think of this perfect ratio between surface area and volume is where cells start to form. Okay, so that's it for now. In later videos, we're going to be talking more extensively on every single organelle and getting into depth on every single organelle. But I hope this overview helps. Cells are as simple as that.